Everyone, I'm Rahul Bazet, and today I'll be talking about scheduling for multi-phase parallelizable jobs. So let's start with some basics. So think of a single server system where packets arrive over time and are sitting inside a queue. The difference between the departure and the arrival time of any packet is called as the flow time. And what we want to minimize is the total of the flow time summed across all jobs. So for this simple setting, you know that the shortest remaining processor time algorithm, which schedules the shortest remaining job at each time, is in fact optimal. It's instructive to remember that the flow time can also be written as an integral over the number of jobs in the system at each time t. Now let's look at some more interesting frameworks these days where there are more than one server. So now think of that there are a total number of K servers and packets are arriving over time. And each job is fully parallelizable, by which I mean that if you assign little k number of servers to a job, the speed per job speed is also equal to k. So more the servers assigned to a job, more is its speed. Now in this setting, again, SRPD turns out to be optimal, where you just process the shortest remaining job simultaneously in all the servers. Now parallel scheduling in practice is somewhat more complicated. So you don't get this fully parallelizable job setting. What you end up getting is what is known as limited parallelizable job setting, where if you assign little k number of servers to a job, the speed obtained is only k to the power 1 by alpha, where alpha is greater than 1. So there is diminishing returns by using more than, as you use more and more servers for a job, the incremental utility is decreasing. And with the same objective as minimizing the total flow time, there has been work in how to schedule these jobs in last 2 years, in particular in Performance 21 and Performance 20. So today we'll be talking about even more complicated setting where there are total of K servers and each job not only has a limited parallelizability, also has multiple phases of service. So in particular, a job transitions between a parallel and a serial phase, where in a parallel phase, if little k number of servers are assigned to it, the speed obtained is k to the power 1 by alpha. While in the serial phase, irrespective of how many servers are assigned, the maximum speed a job can get is at most 1. So this is the region of interest where at most unit speed can be given to a particular server, or you can equally think of that one job can be served in at most one server. So this is what we call as dark reality, where not only that there is limited parallelizability, but also there are multiple phases, and the two distinct phases are very two different characteristics. Again, the objective is to minimize the total flow time, and what we don't know is how to optimally schedule this. So let's look at some prior work. So in last year's performance, the following model was considered for this problem: that each job transitions between a parallel phase and a serial phase via Markov chain. So it spends an independent amount of time, which is exponentially distributed with these parameters. And eventually from a serial phase, it goes to completion. So this is the model which has been looked at in a nice piece of work in Performance 21, where an optimal algorithm was actually derived, and the optimal algorithm prioritizes jobs who are in their serial phases. And that is kind of dictated by the model where a job completes only when it's in serial phase. So the algorithm is trying to maximize the rate at which jobs are completed. In arbitrary phase setting, there has been work going back almost 20 years, where what is known is that if there are, each job has multiple parallel phases with different exponents alpha, an algorithm which is known as ICV, which dedicates equal amount of speed to all the outstanding jobs, has been known to be near optimal. The limitation of this model is that there is no serial phase, and incorporating such a serial phase in this system is analytically challenging. So just to recap, in the stochastic world, there is limitation on IID phase lengths, while in the arbitrary phases, there is no serial phase. So in this work, we will actually make no assumptions about how long the parallel phases are going to be, no stochastic assumptions, as well as we will incorporate both the parallel and serial phase. We want to find an optimal scheduling algorithm which minimizes the total flow time, and we'll also look at the online setting where jobs arrive over time, and at each time t, there is only causal information available. So since you are talking about online algorithms, it's good to revise what the metric is. So for an online algorithm, the metric is called as competitive ratio, that is defined as the cost of an online algorithm. So think of, since you're looking at a minimization problem, this V on is the cost of an online algorithm for minimizing the objective. So V on of sigma is the cost of the algorithm on input sigma, while VOPT sigma is the cost of an optimal offline algorithm on the same input sigma. While with OPT, OPT has complete future information about the input sigma, as well as it can compute the optimal algorithm for that particular sigma. And we take the ratio of the two. So this is by definition greater than 1. And it's maximized with respect to all possible sigma. So this is the worst case guarantee for a particular algorithm. And what we want to do is to come up with algorithms with the smallest possible competitive ratio. So here is a quick overview of what is going to follow. So what we'll do is to propose a simple algorithm, which is defined by the LCFS philosophy, last come first serve, for scheduling the jobs. And then once the jobs to be scheduled are decided, it will assign equal speed to all the scheduled jobs. A good thing about this algorithm is that it does not depend on the job sizes. We'll show that the competitive ratio of this algorithm is a constant that only depends on the exponent alpha, which controls the limited parallelizability of a job in its parallel phase. The competitive ratio dependence on alpha is unavoidable, and that can be seen easily. And next, I'll present a proof idea, which in fact dictates the algorithm choice. So this is kind of weird. Generally, we have an algorithm, we propose an algorithm and then look at its analysis. Here, the proof idea is what's actually going to dictate the algorithm. So here is a generic potential function idea, which is useful for many different online problems, and in particular this one. So recall that our objective function is the flow time, which is the integral of the number of jobs in the system with algorithm A. Similarly, for the optimal offline algorithm, it's integral of n0 of t. And what we want to do is to compare these two quantities. So this is done via a dummy, which is defined as the potential function. So now let's suppose there exists a potential function phi of t, which satisfies for all time t that the number of jobs in the system with the algorithm A plus the derivative of the potential function is at most some constant times the number of jobs in the optimal offline algorithm. So this is known as the drift condition. In addition, let phi of t satisfy these two boundary conditions. That is, before the system starts, phi of 0 is 0, as well as at the end, phi of infinity is 0, and in between there are no positive jumps. Then just integrating this drift condition, what we end up getting is that the integral of this quantity, which is nothing but the cost of the algorithm, plus this goes away because of these two conditions. The integral essentially turns out to be 0, is at most c times the integral of n0 of t, which is the cost of the OPT, and you get that the competitive ratio of algorithm A is at most c. So now we'll look at how to, so there is, for the moment, this is just a premise that if such a phi exists, then you can do something like this. Now, how to construct phi, there is no clear-cut recipe. Now look at what we are going to do for this particular problem. So to get this drift condition, it's necessary that the derivative of the potential function is of the following form, that minus some constant times the number of jobs in the system with the algorithm A, plus some constant times the number of jobs in the OPT. Now this negative is nothing but the result of the algorithm's work, given that the potential function is going to be some function of the amount of work with the algorithm. So as the algorithm processes more and more jobs, this potential function decreases, and that's why the derivative is negative with respect to the number of jobs in the system. Similarly, for the jobs in the system with the OPT is going to be positive, and this is what we want to show. So for the current problem we have, how we are going to construct phi of t is going to consist of two parts. One will be phi1 of t, which will take care of the case when the number of jobs in the system is larger than the number of servers. That is, there are sufficiently many jobs. And this is useful to control the following case, where if the number of jobs in the system is larger than k, and if you process all jobs at the same speed, all jobs are going to get a speed which is less than 1. Now recall that a job which is in its serial phase can at most get a speed of 1. So this automatically takes care of this restriction that there is no speed wastage even if I give all jobs the same speed. So that will dictate the choice of phi1t. Now phi2t will take care of the case when the number of jobs in the system is actually less than k. And in this case, we'll have to handle jobs in their serial and parallel phases separately. So this is how the algorithm which I'm going to propose next is intimately tied with the potential functions choice. So here is the broad idea of the algorithm. So just to recap, that n of t is the number of outstanding jobs. There are total k servers. So what we're going to do is, let's pick a constant beta between 0 and 1 and check the condition whether beta times the number of jobs in the system is larger than k. This is essentially that number of jobs in the system is sufficiently larger than the number of servers. If this is true, then we're going to process the beta fraction of the most recently arrived jobs. So this is the LCFS philosophy of picking jobs. So look at the most recently arrived jobs, pick the beta fraction of them, and assign equal speed to all of them. So we are not distinguishing between any job in its parallel phase or in serial phase. All jobs which are picked according to this rule are going to get assigned the same speed. So let's look at an example. Here there are 3 jobs, and let's say beta is 2/3. Then the 2 most recently arrived jobs, which are these 2, are going to get picked for processing, and both of them are going to get assigned an equal speed. So what essentially this is doing is that with this choice, given that there are sufficiently many jobs in the system, enough work can be extracted with equal algorithm, and we don't have to worry about the job being in serial or a parallel phase. Now, if suppose that the number of jobs in the system is smaller than k, then we separate out the number of jobs into 2 parts. One is jobs which are in their parallel phases and jobs which are in serial phases, and concentrate first on the jobs which are in their serial phases, and let the number of such jobs be ns of t. Choose another constant theta and check whether the number of jobs in the serial phases are sufficiently many compared to the total number of jobs in the system. If that is so, then we only first look at processing all these jobs first. So pick up all possible jobs which can be executed. So that will be minimum of ns of t comma k, and all these jobs will be processed at unit speed. So in this particular example, both these jobs are going to get unit speed, which is their maximum speed. And if there are remaining servers, then again from this queue, which consists of all the jobs that are in the parallel phase, we're going to pick the beta fraction of the most recently arrived jobs and assign them equal speed. So in this case, beta is 2/3. There are 3 jobs here. We're going to pick this job and assign equal speed to both of them. The final condition, when the number of jobs which are the serial phase is less than theta times nt, we completely disregard the jobs in their serial phases and only consider the jobs in their parallel phases, and assign process the beta fraction of the most recently arrived jobs with equal speed. So essentially, this part of the algorithm is common to all 3 cases. So in this example, again, there are 3 jobs which are in the parallel phase. Pick beta equal to 2/3. We are going to assign these 2 jobs equal speed and process them. So that's all the algorithm is, which is divided into 3 different cases. So here are some comments on the algorithm. So algorithm is what is known as non-clairvoyant, that it does not require any information about the job sizes, which is good and useful from implementation point of view. Intuition for why to choose LCFS is that we all know why SRPT is good for minimizing the flow time, because short jobs remain for short amount of time in the system. LCFS is doing it in complementary way, because it's preempting jobs which are sitting in the system. As soon as a new job arrives, long jobs remain in the system for long. In addition, the LCFS choice is also dictated by the construction of the potential function. So that makes it kind of easy. And the speed choice is to make sure that enough work can be extracted at each point of time and no speed is lost. So here is the main result for this algorithm, that for a suitable choice of 2 constants, beta and theta, both belonging to 0 and 1, the competitive ratio of the algorithm is constant that only depends on this exponent alpha, which controls the limited parallelizability of any job in its parallel phase. So this is important because in prior work, such a result was not available when there is a serial and parallel work in the arbitrary setting. So here are some simulation results. So we are plotting for a particular configuration 5 different algorithms. So our algorithm is called fractional LCFS. With beta equal to 1 means that all jobs are processed at equal speed in different scenarios. Beta equal to 3/4 means 3/4 of the most recently jobs are going to be processed at equal speed. IF is an algorithm which was proposed last year in performance, which prioritizes all jobs in their serial phases. EQI is an algorithm which assigns equal speed to all jobs irrespective of their phase configuration. And FCFS is usual FCFS with some priority assigned. So what we see is that even though we don't show the result for beta equal to 1, which is technically challenging, the simulated performance with beta equal to 1 outperforms every other algorithm. For technical reasons, our algorithm, so for proving our result, we need beta to be strictly between 0 and 1. And we see that the performance is reasonably close to beta equal to 1, but universally beta equal to 1 outperforms beta equal to 3/4 and any other choice we make. It also is instructive to see that our algorithm is actually beating other algorithms which are well known in literature. So let me conclude. So what we have been able to do is to consider an online algorithm for an important job scheduling problem. So motivations for considering this problem are multifold. These days, MapReduce is one of the frameworks where jobs progress between a map or a reduced cycle, where in the map you can do parallel processing, while in reduced you have to put all the jobs serially. So, and in general, there could be many other different paradigms where jobs could be switching between different phases of their processing. So the considered paradigm is actually important. We've been able to show a very simple algorithm which uses an LCFS philosophy for scheduling, while assigning equal speed to all the scheduled jobs is constant competitive. So another advantage is that we don't have to know the job sizes of remaining job sizes, which could be very helpful given that in modern settings we are pipelining. So some of the open questions which remain for this problem is that what is the optimal competitive ratio? We have been able to show that the competitive ratio of our algorithm is constant. First of all, we don't know if that is tight. Can we improve the performance of our own algorithm itself, or do we need a new algorithm to improve the competitive ratio? And more importantly, what's the lower bound on all competitive on all online algorithms? Both of these are active areas of research, and we are actively looking at solving both these problems. I'll stop here and thank you.